I have a Google alert up for all MBTI related articles that come out. And recently, in the last couple of months, I have seen this app called SoSyncd. It's an MBTI matching app that I think the millennial generation is really connecting with. They don't really like match.com or anything like that. They're like, I want to connect with like the spiritual and like trait specific side of me with somebody else. Things like Tinder and Bumble, I don't know if they're really working for me. So I had to have Lou and Jess on the show, but in the last week, they have raised $1 million in a seed round. So that's like extraordinary. And I know you guys can talk about kind of the struggle being a women-owned business and how it's so rare to get seed funding in this kind of venture capital world as women. So I want to talk about that. But first, thank you for being on the show. I know you're probably just got so much press to do and so much attention since you've got the funding round, but thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
And just so the audience is clear, so Lou is an ESFJ.
Yeah, I'm Lou. I'm an ESFJ.
And Jess is an INFP.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. And I always add that. So I definitely want people to know the dynamic of the team that brought SoSyncd to you. So SoSyncd is not by itself. I have actually spoken to another founder of a very similar app. And like I said at the beginning, there is a lot of competition in this space. I don't know if it's just with MBTI, but I think just millennials are creating more dating apps. So it's getting crowded. Why are people using SoSyncd over something else?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question because there are a lot of dating apps out there, right? And it's something that we obviously talked a lot about when we first set up SoSyncd. But really, a lot of people just aren't happy with the dating apps that are out there. And I think that's the main point. There can be as many companies in an industry as you want, but unless they're actually fulfilling a need and doing a good job, there's always space for more. And we looked at some studies, and the vast majority of people are unhappy with dating apps. And yeah, we set up SoSyncd because we knew there was a market for this specifically, and also we just saw that there was a better way of matching people, and we just thought it was crazy, right? We're like, in this day and age when technology is so advanced, why are people matching on the basis of photos? It seemed really strange.
Yeah, it's just the existing dating apps were quite superficial, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, we have had quite a lot of success. So, why are people downloading and using our app? I think, those kinds of things really show that it does work. And also, a lot of the people that are finding relationships on that are the perfect personality matches, which is so great, isn't it? We were talking about it earlier, but
yeah. And when you say success, you mean success in terms of helping people find love, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we had over 470 couples find love on our app, we've had loads of emails this week actually. So yeah, and I think that then helps it spread through word of mouth, really.
And so it's 470 couples, and then there's 2 marriages.
Yeah, we've had 2 weddings that we know about. Someone messaged us about a couple of weeks ago and was like, oh, so I've actually found love and got married. We were like, oh my God, there's probably more that we don't know about.
Yeah, so these are known success stories, right, as well. That's what we should say. So there's potentially lots more that we don't know about.
Do you find that there are a certain, of the 16 personality types, do you find that there are a certain group that tends to be on it more?
Yeah, so we have a lot of INFJs on the app, INFPs.
Which is funny because INFJs are the rarest personality type, but
obviously
they are our
very
most popular type on that.
Yeah, so. And of course, as I'm sure you'll know, very drawn to Myers-Briggs and personality types in general. ENFPs, INTJs, INTPs, so lots of intuitives, as you probably expect.
So it's not full of ESTJs and ISTJs?
ESTJ is the most rare type on the app, actually.
There's quite a few ISTJs there.
Yeah, there are actually quite a few ISTJs, yeah.
There are more introverts on the app than extroverts, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. the reason I kind of mentioned your personality types at the beginning is because like in meeting both of you and meeting both of like it's knowing your types and really understanding typology, I feel like there's already a stereotype that's been broken with the dynamic that you two have, which is that Jess, you're the INFP and Lou, you're the ESFJ. So you think like, oh, introvert, extrovert, like there's clearly gonna Lou's gonna be the one that talks the most and just lead the discussion and because actually has extrovert feeling. And then Jess, your introverted feeling, you're probably not going to be as dynamic as a personality. So what is that about? How do you break that stereotype? But like, I would say that you guys could almost be flipped if I was just trying to type you myself.
Yeah, well, Jess is the boss, so she's always doing the talking.
I think it's in different situations. Like, I guess one of us is usually leading the discussion. So I know, we did a photo shoot a couple of days ago, right? And that is much more Lou's area than mine. She's much more organized than I am. She's like, knows exactly what to do. And so I was quieter in that situation, right?
Yeah. And then I guess, the conversation we had with you previously as well, when we had a chat, Jess knows more than I do about Myers-Briggs, that she's been studying it for a lot longer, as you'd expect being the INFP.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's, I guess, where you take the natural lead. And also Jess did the fundraising, as that was really a big part of your previous job at Morgan Stanley. So you led that aspect as well. So yeah.
It ties into the areas that we're stronger in or have more experience in. We tend to lead the conversations there. But then also what I would say with that is, I guess like looking at our lives bigger picture, it's definitely clear that Lou's the extrovert rather than me. Like Lou has, a massive group of very loud girlfriends, and I spend more time by myself or like with smaller groups of friends or one-on-one. So we are more typically kind of introverted, extroverted.
Yeah, in everyday life, you'd be able to tell.
Yeah, you would.
My assumption is that people create anything because there's a need in the market or something, especially on dating apps, something happened to them that makes them go, I need to figure out, they had a horrible experience with a dating app. So like, I need to make this better. Some awful thing happened. They got to fix it. What was the catalyst besides like people being unhappy? Was there something in either of your lives that made you, make this?
Yeah. So I'd say on that point, it's so true. We've met, like, I guess through networking and things like that, we've met quite a lot of dating app founders now, probably at least 10, maybe quite a bit more. But
wow.
Every single dating app founder has essentially created their perfect dating app, like, an app that they wanted, that they thought the market was missing, which completely makes sense, right? I guess so. We created SoSyncd. So when I was working at the investment bank, I worked 4 years in London, and I dated someone, an INTJ, and he was Australian, and we actually ended up moving to Australia together. But after a year, things didn't work out, and I was leaving my job at the same time. So decided to take a year off to travel. Just, being as an INFP, appreciate freedom and kind of, I guess, just, seeing how things go, exploring. So I was like, right, I'm just going to take a year to do that, kind of like backpacked around the world. And because I just had this breakup and I'd been interested in personality types for a long time by then, I started looking into, I guess, like Myers-Briggs and compatibility. And it was, in lots of different ways. I guess it was, reading things on Reddit, Quora, blog posts, talking to people that I met when I was traveling. I'd stay with, sometimes like couples in Airbnbs and kind of like observing their relationship dynamics. And then by the end of the year, I was like, wow, there are such strong correlations. And then we were having drinks in Soho, right? And Lou was saying that her friends and colleagues were going on these terrible app dates, and this is, where it comes back to, there are dating apps out there, but they didn't necessarily seem to be doing a good job for everyone. And I was like, discovered this on, over the past year, like we have to do it. We have to set up a personality type dating app.
And then, I didn't really know much about the Myers-Briggs model at that point. So we kind of we started applying. Well, I actually, without realizing, was in a long-term relationship with my perfect match, so an ISTP. So that was a good start. And then we started applying it to all our friends and family friends and things. And you could just see this huge correlation. And like, I was like, yeah, it works. Let's do it.
And you've posted about it recently on LinkedIn about the rarity of female-owned companies they only get a certain percent of venture capital money. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it was a complete shock when, I found out those stats. And, I worked in finance, which is quite male dominated, but the specific department I worked in was just so great in terms of inclusivity and the company as a whole, to be honest, like so great. And then the job I had after it as well, just a really great culture and equal opportunities. So I was a bit shocked, when, start fundraising, and I'm like, the stats around this are just crazy. So last year it was 2.3% of all venture capital investment went to all female-led businesses, which is shocking. You think even 20-30% isn't ideal, but this is like a tiny portion. And I guess bottom line is it really has to change. And I'm actually taken on a really new or exciting additional role as the UK lead for women in tech. I'm actually planning on doing a panel quite soon around this topic. And I do now ask, I guess, people who have experience in that area, why do you think that, I guess, women just raise less money? Because I guess one of the interesting things is there was a Boston Consulting Group study that showed that the female-led businesses that do get investment make twice as much revenue per dollar invested than male-led businesses. And I don't think it's like innately that women are necessarily, all women are better than men at setting up businesses. That's not it at all. But it's like, I guess if only 2% get funding, they probably are more likely to be the ones that, I guess, make returns.
So
you see what I mean?
Yeah, it's like they've done that, like they're really scrutinized the money they give to women, so it's probably going to be a good idea. But like you'll have a company like WeWork get billions and like just instantly fall, like just become a terrible company. They get billions and billions of dollars. So I guess that makes more sense. But I just think like in terms of idea generation, like that should just have its own merits by itself. Like if your idea is good enough, it shouldn't be like, well, woman, so you know how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is unconscious bias. So
Sure.
there was an interesting article in Harvard Business Review, and it's saying that 2/3 of the questions that men get asked in fundraising meetings are promotion oriented. It's about like, the exciting things that they're going to do and how they're going to achieve their goals and how they're going to reach this target. But then 2/3 of the questions asked to women are prevention oriented. So, oh, have you thought about safety? Like, what if you miss this target? What if another company does this better? Like that kind of thing, more negative.
Now I want to know what you can talk about in terms of how the app is doing thus far. I think in the articles that I read, there was something like 60,000 downloads or something like that. Or so I want to know, like, since you launched how's the trajectory going? But now since you raised that funding round, what else have you seen in terms of stats and analytics, things like that?
Yeah, so as you said, we've had over 60,000 signups and over 470 known success stories, and then the weddings. So, I mean, that's all really amazing. And I mean, when we launched in our first month, we got about the same amount of signups we were expecting in like the first
exactly
6 months or something. That was really good. So I mean, now it's obviously the focus is going to be on the product and the marketing. We haven't fully kicked that off yet, have we really?
No, yeah. So it was so recent. It takes a little bit of time to, I guess, get everything into motion. But yeah, really, I guess we're planning on more focusing on, I guess, refining the app first, and then we'll be doing a kind of big marketing push pretty soon, really.
Starting with New York.
Yeah, starting with New York. Yeah, exactly.
So for my audience, what is the process for signing up? Are you on App Store and Android?
Yeah, so on the iOS and Android app store, so you can download the app, and then you sign up, you know, your email, usual things, and then you can either take the 5-minute personality test, or you can input your personality type if you know it already.
Which I imagine quite a lot of your listeners and watchers will.
Okay, and is this a assessment test that you created or something else?
Yeah, it's one that we created. Spent, I guess, probably half a year or so testing it, like scrutinizing every single question and that kind of thing. So it's as accurate as it can be.
Wow. So you really reinvented the wheel in terms of, I always recommend, like, if someone is starting like an app or just like they want to include an assessment into a profile, like, don't do your own, because it's so hard to do.
Yeah, it was hard to do. It was in tandem when we were, I guess, building the app. So it's not like it delayed the launch of it. We were doing it alongside other things. But yeah, I guess there's also, if you do things yourself, it is harder and it does take longer, but you also learn things in the process, which can be quite useful as well.
Yeah. What was the hardest question to answer for the investors?
Ooh,
that's a good question.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess some investors are like, what if a massive company like Match Group does this? I think, you just really have to appreciate, like, what one investor said, what if Match Group did this and put like 30 million behind it? It's like, well, they do have, lots of opportunities as well. It's not just like this and that's it. They've got lots of dating apps that they're running and have to invest in. And I think one of the main things is that it's really hard to find the right team. I think the founding team is, well, it is in the early stages, kind of one of the main reasons why companies are successful or not. So, I mean, finding a good founding team can literally take years. And kind of, why would they not outsource the innovation, right? Like, there's quite a few dating app startups. Why would they kind of not, kind of like wait and see which ones do well and potentially, I guess, buy them.
Right. Oh, I see. You wouldn't want to get acquired by Match, right?
No, but we're saying, like, why they wouldn't do it themselves, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, it'd be total waste. Just buy a small company before they blow up. That's totally how you would do it. Okay. I was just thinking, like, if I was giving advice for someone's gonna start their own company, I'd say that you'd have to spend, if you don't spend every waking moment and non-waking moment of your life thinking about this product or this thing you're going to create, then, like, don't start it. Like, it has to be something that you just cannot, your whole lens of your world is through that thing.
Yeah, like an obsession, like you waking up in the middle of the night to check your emails.
I like always need to, just wake up at like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. I'm like, if, it's been a bit of stressful hours just to check, and then, like, you don't go to sleep until like 3 o'clock anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably typical INFP, staying up super late.
That's so funny. Okay, awesome. I can't wait to be that person that says, like, I knew them when, you know what I mean? Like, tell the kids one day, I knew them before they became billionaires. So that's why I had to have you on the show. And I appreciate both of you for taking the time out I know you have a busy day and just a schedule. I'm sure you're going to hop off this and go do something. So for my audience, if you are upset or you haven't had good experiences with dating apps and you're like, okay, let's try this whole MBTI thing, download SoSyncd, see what it can do for you. And I wish you all the best. And thank you, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
I tried to live without you. Just can't go.